The Money Game. 7 purchases in your 20s that will destroy your wealth. Avoid these. What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to The Money Game, the channel where we talk about money the way it actually works, not the way they taught you in school. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now and activate the notification bell. Because every single video we drop is built to help you make smarter financial decisions and build real, lasting wealth. Your 20s are not just a fun chapter in your life. They are the most financially decisive decade you will ever live through. The choices you make between 20 and 30, the things you buy, the habits you build, the traps you fall into, will echo through every single year that follows. That is not an exaggeration. It only takes one bad purchase to set you back years of savings, years of momentum, gone because of one decision made in a moment of impulse or pressure. So today, we are flipping the script. We are talking about the 7 purchases and financial traps in your 20s that you absolutely, positively need to avoid. And I need you to watch this all the way to the end, because each one of these is different. And if you skip ahead, you will miss something that could save you a serious amount of money. This is not financial advice. These are real lessons learned the hard way that could help you become wealthy a lot sooner than you thought possible. Let's get into it. Number 1, cheap goods. All right, this one is going to sound counterintuitive at first, and I know some of you are already raising an eyebrow. Buying cheap goods costs you money? Isn't the whole point of being smart with money to spend less? Not always. And here's why. There's an old saying that has stood the test of time. Buy cheap, buy twice. And if you really sit with that phrase, it reveals a truth that most people don't fully understand until they've been burned by it. The cheapest option in the market is almost never the most economical option over time, because cheap products fail, they break, they underperform. And when they do, you have to go back and buy a replacement, meaning you ultimately spent more than if you had bought the right thing once. Here's a real example that illustrates this perfectly. Imagine you're in your early 20s. You're trying to build a business, and you need to hire talented people. You know that building a strong team is essential for long-term success, not just for the work they do, but for the culture they create. So you make an offer to someone you really want, and to sweeten the deal, you give them a company car, a red Ford Fiesta XR2, his absolute dream car. It's the right move. You want him on the team. Now that car is attractive, and unfortunately, a lot of other people thought so too, making it one of the most frequently stolen cars of its era. So what do? You go to the hardware store and buy the cheapest steering wheel lock you can find, figuring it will do the job. It is a lock. It locks. How bad could it be? Within a week, the car is gone. Stolen. And here's the detail that really stings. The thief left the cheap lock sitting dismantled on the sidewalk next to where the car had been parked. Almost like a message. Like a note that said, "Don't insult me. Buy a better lock." The cheapness of that lock was an afterthought to someone who was determined to take that car. That is the lesson. Cheap products are not designed to perform under pressure. They are designed to look like they solved the problem, just long enough for the sale to be made. The real question to ask yourself before any purchase is not, what is the lowest price? The real question is, what gives me the best return on this investment? Quality costs more upfront. Replacing cheap failures costs far more over time. Number 2, get-rich-quick courses. Let's address something that a lot of people are too proud to admit. Get-rich-quick schemes do not only trap uneducated or naive people. They trap smart people, driven people, ambitious people, people who are hungry for more and haven't yet developed the radar to spot the manipulation. And in your 20s, when that hunger is at its most intense and your experience is at its lowest, you are the perfect target. Think about the psychology for a second. You are young. You are ambitious. You have big dreams, and you can feel the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That gap creates urgency. And urgency, when exploited by a skilled salesperson, makes you do things you would never do in a calm, rational state of mind. This is not a character flaw. This is human psychology being weaponized against you. Here's a scenario that plays out in America every single day. You're sitting in a hotel room, flipping through channels, and there it is, an infomercial, slick production, beautiful houses, luxury cars, A confident host telling you that you can have all of this. All you have to do is buy their program. Order now, and you'll also receive these bonus materials. This offer expires at midnight. Call the number on screen. And there you are, young, aspirational, feeling like you were made for more than your current situation. And every word of that commercial was designed specifically for you. So you call. And the moment you're on the phone, the pressure intensifies. The urgency escalates. They mention more bonuses, a limited time discount, other people buying right now. Your brain goes into panic mode. You buy. When the product arrives, it's a collection of generic information you could have found for free, packaged in an expensive-looking box. You try to get a refund. And the response? If you're serious about getting rich, you need the next level of materials. That's a sales funnel. Their entire business model is designed to extract as much money from you as possible by giving you just enough to keep you hungry for more, but never enough to actually achieve anything. Here are the exact tactics to watch for, because they never change even as the product evolves. They sell you an aspirational dream, not a concrete result. They tell you the product is worth 10 times what they're asking, and then slash the price for the day only. They create panic by telling you the offer expires soon or spots are limited. They pile on bonuses to make walking away feel like losing something. And the moment you show hesitation, they pivot to the next upsell. Here is the antidote. Stay calm. Take a breath. Remind yourself that if the deal is real today, it will still be real next week. No legitimate opportunity requires you to make a major financial decision in the next 10 minutes. If someone is applying that kind of pressure, they are not selling you an opportunity. They are selling you urgency. And urgency is not an investment. Number 3, designer clothes on credit. Let's be clear. This is not about whether designer clothes are worth buying. This is specifically about buying designer clothes on store credit in your 20s and the financial trap that comes with it. This is a trap that feels completely harmless in the moment and reveals its true cost months later, by which point the damage is already done. Picture this. You're in your early 20s, heading out on your first real vacation with friends. You want to look good. You walk into a high-end clothing store and start picking things out. No price tags visible, naturally, because the goal of that environment is to get you emotionally attached to the items before you see the numbers. By the time you're at the register, the total is well beyond what you brought with you. But the sales associate smiles and says, "No problem at all. We can set you up with our store card right now. You'll get a $1,000 limit and 10% off your purchase today." Sounds like a solution. Sounds like a win, even. So you sign up, you spend the limit, and you walk out looking great. Then the monthly statements start arriving, and you do what most young people do. You pay the minimum, month after month. You pay exactly what they ask for. After a full year of payments, you sit down and actually do the math, and realize you've paid off almost none of the principal balance. Every single payment has gone almost entirely to interest. You paid a significant premium above the already inflated price of those clothes for the privilege of wearing them immediately instead of saving up first. This is exactly how store credit cards are designed to work. They are not a convenience. They are a revenue engine. They are engineered to lock you into a cycle of minimum payments that barely touch the principal, generating months or years of interest income for the company without them having to sell you a single additional item. It is, in its own way, a masterpiece of financial engineering, just not in your favor. Store credit cards almost always carry interest rates far higher than standard credit cards, often 25 to 30% annually. Compare that to a Quality Travel Rewards credit card at 15 to 20%, which also gives you points, purchase protection, and other real benefits. The lesson is not to avoid credit entirely. Used correctly, credit is a powerful tool. The lesson is to never sign up for a store-specific card in the moment, under pressure, without knowing the terms. Research your options first. Never let a cashier make your credit decisions for you. And never let a beautiful piece of clothing pull you into a cycle of debt that takes years to escape. The deeper lesson here is about patience. If you want something, budget for it. Save for it. Buy it with money you actually have. That discipline, delayed gratification applied consistently, is one of the most powerful wealth-building habits you can build in your 20s. Number 4, stock signals and tips. Here's a financial truth that will save you a lot of money if you really internalize it. The person selling you a stock tip almost always makes money whether you win or lose. Let that sink in for a moment. The tipster gets paid either way. The only person with real skin in the game is you. There will always be someone in your life, a friend, a co-worker, someone in an online group who claims to have the inside track on a stock that is about to explode. And here's the dangerous part. Sometimes they're right. The first tip hits. You make money. Suddenly you are hooked. The win creates confidence that feels indistinguishable from skill. But it is not skill. It is timing. And in a bull market, when the overall trend is up and almost everything is going up with it, picking winning stocks feels much easier than it actually is. Think about what happened during the dot-com boom of the late 1990s in America. Valuations were disconnected from reality. Companies with no revenue, no product, and sometimes no coherent business plan were trading at astronomical multiples. In that environment, it genuinely felt like you could throw a dart at a list of tech stocks and hit a winner. And plenty of people did for a while, until they didn't. The danger is not the tip that wins. The danger is the tip that wins, making you feel invincible enough to bet bigger on the next one. You ignore the research. You skip the due diligence. You trust the source because they were right once. And then the trade goes wrong, and you lose a significant portion of your investment in a matter of weeks. That loss is not just a financial loss. It is emotionally crushing in a way that can make it genuinely difficult to invest again for years afterward. Stock signal groups are everywhere now. Discord servers, Telegram channels, Twitter accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers, all claiming proprietary systems and track records that suspiciously never show their losses. Here is what most participants in those groups don't realize. The person running the group is almost always being compensated somehow. A commission from the platform they're directing you to, a fee from the company whose stock they're pumping, or simply the subscription fee you're paying them directly. They profit from your attention and your action. They do not profit from your returns. If someone else is going to pick investments for you, let it be a regulated, fiduciary financial advisor who is legally obligated to act in your interest. Or better yet, invest consistently in a low-cost index fund that tracks the broad market, where your returns are tied to the long-term performance of the economy itself rather than one person's opinion on one company. That is not exciting. But wealth is not supposed to be exciting. Wealth is built through boring consistency applied over a long enough timeline. Number 5, sports betting. Let's talk about gambling, and specifically about the version of gambling that feels the least like gambling, sports betting, because it comes packaged in the familiar language of sports knowledge, statistics, and strategy. It feels more like skill than chance. That feeling is a trap. Peer pressure and gambling are a dangerous combination at any age, but especially in your 20s when social dynamics are at their most intense. Consider the scenario. A friend of a friend, someone with apparent confidence and a track record of wins, tells you that betting on horse racing is easy money. He says he has never lost. He offers to guide you through your first bet personally. The social proof is there, the excitement is there, and you have a little spare cash. So you do it. Your first bet is $500. The horse finishes second. Painful. Your guide says bad luck. Happen to anyone? Try again. So you double the bet to $1,000 because emotionally you are now chasing the loss rather than making a rational decision. Second place again. Your guide shrugs and says that wasn't supposed to happen. You decide to sit out 2 races, and both of those horses win. Now your brain has constructed a narrative. I'm just unlucky. If I had stayed in, I'd be up. So you bet $4,000 to get your money back. Third place. You have lost $5,500 in an afternoon. This is the exact psychological pattern that gambling is designed to exploit. Every element of that experience, the near wins, the guide's encouragement, the 2 races that won after you sat out, the mounting pressure to get back to even, was designed, consciously or not, to keep you in the game long enough to lose as much as possible. The brain is not wired to accept losses. It is wired to keep trying to recover them. And casinos, sportsbooks, and betting apps have spent billions of dollars figuring out exactly how to exploit that wiring. Betting apps in particular have made this problem dramatically worse in recent years. Free bet promotions, live in-game wagering, Instant cash out features, all of it engineered to maximize engagement and blur the line between entertainment and addiction. The first free bet is not a gift. It is an acquisition cost. They are buying your first win so that your brain associates their platform with the feeling of winning, making it far more likely you'll come back and bet your own money. None of this means that a friendly sports bet between friends while watching the game is going to ruin your finances. In genuine moderation, a set fixed budget you treat as entertainment spending, not investment. Gambling can be harmless, but the key word is moderation, and moderation requires rules set in advance. Decide your maximum loss before you place a single bet. When that amount is gone, you are done. No chasing. No doubling down. No one more race. The moment you start chasing losses, you have crossed from entertainment into something far more dangerous. Number 6, unnecessary medical costs. This one requires some nuance, because we are absolutely not saying you should avoid medical care. Your health is your most important asset, and protecting it is non-negotiable. What we are saying is that the healthcare industry, like every other industry, contains people who are very skilled at selling you services you do not need, particularly when you are in a vulnerable state. And there is no more vulnerable state than being in significant pain. Here is how this plays out. You have an injury, back pain, knee pain, something that has been bothering you for years and gradually gotten worse until it is no longer manageable. In significant pain, you go to the first specialist you can find. Maybe you walk past their clinic every day on your commute. You do not research them. You do not check reviews. You just go because you are desperate for relief. The specialist is skilled. They relieve the pain. And in that moment of relief, when you would genuinely pay anything to keep feeling this way, they propose a treatment plan, a long one, 12 months of sessions, a significant financial commitment. You agree because you are in a vulnerable state, because you are relieved, and because you are afraid of going back to the pain you just escaped. What you do not know, what you have found out with 30 minutes of research, is that this level of ongoing treatment is not medically necessary for your condition. A different specialist, properly researched, would have achieved the same result in a fraction of the sessions at a fraction of the cost. But now you are committed, and every time you try to step back, a new treatment option appears, one you cannot afford to miss, of course. The protection against this is simple and costs nothing. Always get a second opinion before committing to any significant, ongoing treatment plan. If a practitioner discourages you from seeking a second opinion, that itself is a red flag. Reputable medical professionals have no issue with patients doing their due diligence. Research before you commit. The internet has made this easier than it has ever been. Use it. Number 7, overpromise services. The final trap is one that has evolved significantly with the growth of the internet. And if you are building or planning to build an online business or side hustle, this one is especially relevant to you right now. Here's a pattern. Someone who is very good at communicating and selling describes a service or product in language that sounds transformational. It solves your exact problem. It is exactly what your business needs. And you are just technical enough to understand the terminology, but not technical enough to evaluate whether the solution is actually right for your situation. So you trust the expert. You sign the contract. You pay the deposit. Here is a real-world example from the early internet era that plays out in 100 different ways today. A web designer convinces a business owner that the only way to have a world-class website is to build it using Adobe Flash, a specific technology that was visually impressive, cutting edge at the time, and about to become completely obsolete. The designer probably knew this, but Flash was what he had to sell, so Flash was what he sold. The website cost $10,000. It looked spectacular, and it accomplished essentially nothing because Flash sites could not be indexed by search engines, could not sell product effectively, and within a few years stopped working entirely as browsers dropped Flash support. $10,000 for a website that Google couldn't find and customers couldn't use. The designer had moved on to a project in another country by the time the problems became apparent. The cruel psychological element here is a concept called sunk cost fallacy, the tendency to keep investing in something because of what you've already spent, rather than making a clear-eyed evaluation of its future value. Once you've spent $5,000 on a service, spending another $5,000 to finish It feels more logical than walking away from the first $5,000. This is how bad investments become catastrophically bad investments. The tools that protect you. Research the provider independently before signing anything. Look for reviews from people who have no incentive to be positive. Ask for references and actually call them. And most powerfully, implement the 7-day rule. Before committing to any significant purchase or service contract, wait 7 full days. That cooling off period allows the emotional excitement of the pitch to fade and your rational judgment to engage. It gives you time to do the research you did not do in the moment. It prevents impulsive decisions from becoming expensive regrets. If the offer is gone after 7 days, it was not an opportunity. It was urgency being manufactured to override your judgment. The big takeaway. So let's bring this all home. Your 20s matter more than most people realize until they are already in their 30s wishing they had known sooner. The decisions you make right now, the purchases you avoid, the traps you sidestep, the discipline you build, will pay dividends for the rest of your financial life. Avoid cheap goods that fail when it counts most and end up costing you more over time. Walk away from get-rich-quick courses that sell urgency, not results. Never let a store cashier open a credit card in your name to sell you designer clothes you haven't budgeted for. Stop taking stock tips from people who get paid whether you win or lose. Set strict gambling limits and never chase a loss. Always get a second opinion before committing to ongoing medical treatment. And never buy a major service without 7 days of research and reflection. Here's a mindset shift that ties all of this together. A mistake is only a disaster if you refuse to learn from it. Every single financial trap on this list has a lesson inside it, and a mistake only becomes a true mistake when you make it twice. So if any of these scenarios sound familiar, if you have already fallen into one of these traps, do not beat yourself up. Extract a lesson, adjust your approach, and move forward smarter. And remember, that $1,000 you might feel like throwing away in your 20s, invest it correctly in the right business or the right index fund at the right time. That could be the seed of something that grows into real, life-changing wealth. Do not throw seeds away. If this video added value to your financial life, do us a favor and share it with a friend who needs to hear it. You might just save someone from making a $5,000 mistake. Subscribe to The Money Game right now. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment below. Tell us, which of these 7 traps have you encountered and what did you do about it? We read every single comment and we want to hear your story. Welcome to The Money Game. Let's build something together.